What if onions were the key to a plastic-free future? I'm Renika, the founder and CEO of HUID, a biotech startup that's converting onion waste into food-preserving, compostable packaging materials. Now, we all know single-use plastic waste is a global crisis, and one that I've seen firsthand growing up in Southeast Asia. 150 million tons are produced every year, wreaking havoc on our ecosystems, and a third of that is food packaging. With plastic taxes rising, retailers are scrambling for alternatives in a global £97 billion packaging market. And legislation is pushing them towards paper, a known and trusted material. But that growth puts unsustainable pressure on our forests, and like other compostable materials, it lacks the performance of plastic in weight, grease, and moisture proofing. Namely, it doesn't keep food fresh. But that's where HUID comes in. We create better, functional food packaging materials from onion skins. Our first products are onion fiber paper and molded items that are lightweight, therefore reducing transportation costs, emissions, and weight-based packaging taxes. They also ease fiber supply chain issues. But next, we're working on antibacterial films and coatings derived from onion skins that can extend the shelf life of fresh produce for up to 3 days longer than standard plastic films, saving retailers thousands in food spoilage. But at the heart of our innovation is our extraction process. We extract 2 key ingredients and put them back together to create our materials. The first is cellulose, which we isolate in 10 minutes using food-grade chemicals, 10 times faster and gentler than wood pulp. And we're patenting this process within the month, and it can drop into existing infrastructure. The second ingredient are bioactives. And these are the things that give our materials their shelf life extension capabilities. And we're currently refining this process so it can work alongside our fiber extraction in tandem. But you might be asking, why onion skins? Well, onions are global, so their waste is too. There's over 600,000 tons generated each year in the UK and EU, and more globally, with no use or value and available year-round. In fact, it costs farmers money to get rid of them. So we turn this burden into value. They're also rich in those antibacterial compounds, which can be very useful. Now, our model is to license our extraction and formulation processes to pulpers and manufacturers so that we can scale quickly with impact and serve the large enterprises that are asking for our solutions now. But what our pulpers need is a clean, reliable source of raw material. So we're co-developing an automation with a trusted machinery partner that will lease to onion farmers so they can clean onion skins in situ that are often dirty when they come from the farms and make over 60 pounds per ton from their waste. We're starting off in the luxury packaging sector where we've already made early revenues from lifestyle brands and are working towards a distribution deal with the UK's premium paper merchant. And subject to food contact testing, we'll enter the fresh produce packaging market where we have interest in pilots from Westphalia, the EU's largest avocado distributor, and Oscar Mayer, the UK's largest ready meal producer. We've also had inbound interest from the likes of Coveris and WSES Global, who supply Burger King and Costa. Our team has expertise in biochemistry, material science, and product development, and we're backed by a packaging industry expert. We've raised over £200,000 in government funding, and we're looking to raise our pre-seed round to upscale our fiber processing and certify those materials to get our pilots going and finish the R&D on our bioactive film. Our goal is to work with trailblazing end retailers, so we're looking for you. And we're also looking to create a low-carbon material and support agricultural communities globally. And with that, I invite you to our stand to see, touch, and smell how onion skins are unlocking a plastic-free future. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you very much indeed for kicking off the second session. To get your questions in using the QR code on the screen now. And Monica, let's click one off, looking at how, whether there is a big enough market in paper, which is, of course, a mature industry.
Great question. So we're starting off in paper because our fiber extraction process is easiest applied there currently. But with food, let's talk about food packaging for a minute. A lot of the questions we get are, oh, there's recycled paper, which is super cheap. How can you make this work? Well, first off, I don't know if you know, but recycled paper fibers aren't suitable for food packaging because we don't know if they have any contaminants. So really, any paper food packaging you have is made of virgin fibers. And as one of the other cohort members mentioned today, we're cutting down trees at a rate where the growth we have cannot sustain the trees that we're planting. So we need other virgin fibers that are readily available, and onion skins can plug this gap readily at a global scale.
Okay. The first question in from the audience, why onions?
Why onions? Because, I mean, everyone here has had an experience with an onion. I think beyond the relatability, I think food waste, and we see that it's a really scalable option. There's over 21 million tons generated around the world. So in the UK and EU, we're only a small fraction. So this has been designed in mind with true global scalability at the forefront. Yeah.
Okay, that answers why onions. Moving on to the next question from the audience. How does raw material collection fit into your business model?
So currently, we're luckily, we have a system in place for that. Onion farmers readily collect onion skins. There are lots of extraction pipes on their packing lines that suck up the dust and the onion skins as the onions bounce around the conveyor belts in the factory. So they're ready in pallets. And instead of sending them to anaerobic digesters or landfill in some countries, they can just go to pulping facilities. So it's really very simple.
Great, okay. Moving on to the next question that we have in from the audience. Let's see, yes, here we go. Can you tell us more about the manufacturing process and who you're working with to deploy your technology currently?
Yes, so the manufacturing process is essentially a refining process where we extract those valuable components from the onion skin. So those pulpers I mentioned, they have the infrastructure in place to do this chemical refining, and we've checked, that it's all compatible reagents-wise, etc. So we can work with these pulpers, but we've also interestingly seen from a few onion farmers who are very keen to get this going, that they're willing to make the investment to put pulping infrastructure on their sites so they can make even more revenue. So we have the option, depending on how we want to scale, with a small pilot on an onion farm. But to mention some larger names, Nafici is one of the pulpers that we're looking to work with who specialize in non-wood fiber pulping.
Brilliant, okay. Moving on to the next question. Is there a time restriction on the antibacterial qualities of the onion skins?
Yes, so our studies have seen that they have a sort of general effectiveness for around 72 hours, which if you're thinking in the likes of fresh produce, that is kind of a lifetime. So one of the contacts we have that is really keen to use this technology is a berry farm. And they've said to us, even 24 hours for us is game changing, because that means we reduce the transportation that we need to get our berries out every single day. We can make it every 2 days. And you can imagine how those transportation costs then are severely reduced. So I think there's a lot, even in that 72-hour window, that can be effective for suppliers.
Okay, I think we have time for just one more question. What's your TRL currently?
Yeah, for the paper solutions, we're at TRL 6/7. And for our film and coating, their early days, so our bioactive process, is at a TRL 4, and our film and coating at TRL 3.
Okay, Monica, thank you very much indeed.